It's FoosTalk Live.
You talking to me?
Compelling and lively banter.
Are you going to talk to us?
Talking FoosBall.
FoosBall was how I measured my value as a man. You took that away.
Players and fans, promoters and pros. Unedited and raw.
Talk.
Living in the moment.
We have a lot of important things to talk about.
All while practicing social distancing.
Cool. We'll talk. No big whoop.
Let's get this thing started. FoosTalk Live. Coming to you live from the studios of FoosBall Radio in cooperation with Inside Foos TV. It's the 47th episode of FoosTalk Live. It's brought to you in part by 518 Prints, one of the best printers of promotional items, t-shirts, jackets, hoodies, and foosball apparel. Visit 518prints.com today. Also brought to you in part by Foosballers, the movie. Download your copy of this Joe Hesslinger documentary at foosballersthemovie.com. Also brought to you in part by Foosball Clubs USA, promoting foosball through school systems all over the country. Visit foosballclubsusa.com and make a donation today. And brought to you by the USTSO, helping to usher in a new era of competitive foosball. Become a member and register at usafoosball.com. Well, hey there, I'm Tom Robinson. It's the 47th episode of FoosTalk Live, and it is daylight saving time. So hopefully you set your clock, back for daylight savings time, and you're on time for the show. But thanks for tuning in. First of all, I got to tell you that Jim Stevens is currently dodging snowflakes out in Colorado. So we're wishing him well, hoping that he's staying safe with he and his family. Instead, I prefer to work with a real pro, which, by the way, would be Midori Kimura, standing in for Jim tonight. Midori, how you doing?
I'm great. How are you doing?
I got to say, it's a little bit warmer in upstate New York. We're really thrilled that it got to 50.
We're at like 85 all week.
85. Yeah, that's right. You're in Florida, man.
I actually got a sunburn.
You got a sunburn in March?
So we're in full swing.
Oh, wow. That must be nice. Well, welcome once again to FoosTalk Live. I greatly appreciate you stepping in for Jim tonight. This is certainly a treat. Now, I think, and we'll get into this a little more deeply, you're now considered a pro in singles foosball, correct?
Correct.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you.
How does that, now, is there a ceremony, or is there something that they actually put you through to acclimate you to being a pro?
I think there's gonna be a parade. I'm not sure. Like, I haven't heard details, but like I'm expecting it. So
nice.
But I'll act surprised.
We'll try and get there to cover it. How's that sound?
That'd be cool.
Awesome. Well, it is true that chemistry works best when you have, shall we say, other elements like spice in cooking, especially. And to balance the universe, we always have to welcome our fave from
holding ripped jeans, skin was showing, hot night, wind was blowing. Where you think you're going, baby? Hey, I just met you.
I was going to say our favorite karaoke foosball player.
Listen, you guys,
Chicago.
I actually Googled best songs from Canada in the last 30 years, and that's what came up.
Best songs from
Call
Canada.
Me Maybe came up, and I just got to give props because that's the best Canada could do for 30 years.
Man. Well,
no, just I love Canada. Come on, Canada. I love Canada. I've got Mario tonight.
Wait, hold on.
I know this is about me. This is about me, but I want to. What? Go ahead. Ask me a question.
You want to debate?
While you have
Canadian
time, ask me a question.
So, I mean,
time's up.
Have you ever heard of a band called Rush? You ever heard of a band?
I love Rush, but that was
Canadian?
50 years ago.
Oh, please.
That's 30 years.
Oh, man.
Come on, Neil Peart, greatest drummer of all time.
I was hoping, Mark, I was hoping you'd be on better behavior because Midori is here with us. She's helping out Jim tonight. So,
Midori, I know you've been to a Carly Rae Jepsen concert. Wasn't that like closing your eyes and like being there?
It was.
Right? Or was that like Celine
brought me back.
singing? That was like Celine singing Carly Rae Jepsen.
Wow.
That's how I felt.
That's how I felt. That's how I was going to describe it as well.
That's how they all describe it.
Sorry, guys. I'm completely clueless. Carly Rae who?
Yeah, never mind.
Okay. Yeah, I'm old.
Call Me Maybe is I guess some big song out of Canada. I didn't even know she was Canadian. Friends with Justin.
Like you didn't know. You knew all the words. You didn't even mess up.
Right.
That's a talent, though. That's something different.
Okay.
Is this a foosball show?
It is.
I
I
don't know
think
at this
so.
point already.
FoosTalk Live, by the way, and welcome to it. No, it's so first of all, Midori, I want to get more details here. When it came to turning pro as a singles player, how does that actually work? Now, you're already a pro as a doubles player, is that correct?
Yep. So for there's your classic points, and then for women as well, there's their women's points, and both are divided into singles and doubles.
Mhm.
So you can be split ranked, which a lot of people are, depending on obviously how successful they are in one or the other. Or a lot of people just don't play one or the other. So many people don't play singles, so they'll
Okay.
have really high, doubles points. Like someone like Scott O'Hare, that's a pro master in his classic doubles points, swap that in singles, but then is a pro ranked player in doubles points because he doesn't play that as much or whatever it may be. I don't know.
Gotcha.
Just an example. So
Gotcha.
I played a few tournaments with Tommy Yore back when he was still an expert, and we won expert doubles a few times.
Mhm.
And then I've done pretty decent in pro doubles at a few different tournaments. And then I won pro doubles last year with Dylan at Florida State. So I had already been bumped to pro in doubles, I think in 2018, the end of 2018 or something like that.
Okay.
And then I had kind of been teetering on the edge for my singles points. And I was hoping to kind of pass the threshold at the end of 2019.
Right.
But my last tournament, I did not get there. I think I actually lost points.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, 2020 is going to be the year. And then it was not the year. It was not the year for anything.
No,
So
I have to ask you because before the show tonight, I took some time to watch a YouTube video of you and Tony Spredeman taking on DeRosa and let's see, forgotten their name now.
It was Jamie Toe.
Jamie
Toe,
Toe.
yeah.
Yeah.
Canada.
Very there you go. Yeah, I was watching that match, and I stopped watching right at it was 2 games each. So tell me what happened in that match.
I could not tell you.
2019. It wasn't that long ago. It was a
I
Hall
know
of
it
Fame
was.
classic.
Oh gosh, I am not the person to
Uh-oh.
recall just specific matches. I don't know how people do that. I remember that happened. Like I remember that match exists.
Yeah.
Thank you
It
for
exists.
acknowledging the reality. You're like, yes, that match is a part of history.
But I could
And
not.
that's my
tell
contribution.
Well,
I could not tell you what happened. I think I didn't block anything. That's
no, you did
my-
actually. Your 2-row was pretty amazing. You had a couple of pull kicks, so I was like, wow, that was super smooth, and you did some really key moves and plays there. I got to say though, I have to say Spredeman was dressed in a way that I would consider an official distraction for the other team because he was wearing shorts.
Was it the checkered shorts?
Checkered shorts, yeah. It's like, oh man.
See, I remember that.
Yeah, right. It's like, wow, that's funky. Kind of looked like underwear, but no, it looked like a really a good match, a good close match. DeRosa was quite good, and I hadn't seen him playing before in any match. But yeah, you guys, you and Tony, have you played before with Tony?
I know at some point we had. I think that might have been. No, we had played. I mean, we played for sure a few when I was younger, and then we started playing. I would say we played at least like one small thing a year over the last maybe three or 4 years or so. I know we played nationals in Louisiana. I think the year before that in 2018. Man, my memory's so bad, but I mean, we've played here and there over the years.
Right.
But I know that was my first mixed title for the Hall of Fame in Vegas.
Right. So you guys did win that ultimately. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
You remember that much. Okay.
That I do.
Well, I'll go back and finish watching it. No question. Because it was a great match and I'd like to see how that all went. But yeah, really great playing on your part, especially from the 2-row. Just amazing.
Thanks.
Yeah. Well, so guys, we're going to be talking to one of Canada's best, Mario Iannuzzi. Did I get that correct?
No.
No?
It's
I think
horrible.
it's Iannuzzi.
Iannuzzi. Okay, it looks like Iannuzzi, but Iannuzzi. Okay.
I don't
I'm
know.
sure
Is he on here yet?
It's
Not yet.
no,
No.
it's Iannuzzi for sure.
Yeah,
but
Iannuzzi.
but I'm sure people butchered his name all his life. It's probably one of those things where he's numb to it. You could probably call him anything. Ian, call him Iannuzzi.
Well,
Mario Iannuzzi.
I know Mario from the time that I played against him in New York State Championships, I think 2013, 2014. I think it was an open doubles match. And he just toyed with us for the entire thing. We were out.
Rude, just like him.
Just toyed with us. Like, okay.
It's like a cat playing with its food.
Right. He was a little annoyed.
I know that.
No, he was.
I know that feeling. I know that feeling really well. It's how my daughters treat me, like food. Like just
No,
push me around.
it's funny how when you, especially as you're coming up through the ranks and you're watching what other players can do, and then you come up against this, this pro who's just, stellar. What an incredible! This guy had one of the best wall passes I've ever seen. Before then and since, just smoking wall pass, so quick you just couldn't even see it, and you could sit on that wall and he'd still make it.
Yep, I know that.
One of those guys. One of those guys.
Wall pass is one of those funky passes where when people practice it enough, it gets to a point where it's really an unconscious pass. Like all the timing, all the momentum, all the traction, how the ball's being carried to the wall, where the relation to the man, and they could adjust for it on a whim. So it's just a wall pass can become an invisible pass for certain people, and it's just like Dave Gumminson's the prime example. He just it's so unconscious after 35, 40 years of doing it.
Right.
There's nothing conscious about it. It's just a movement. And
then of course the rest of the game needs to be the same way, correct?
Well, you wish. No one really has. Very few people you feel like have mastery. Like Frederic is probably one of the few people you think have mastery over all components of the game at all times. And even that's a facade, because even he's tripled like 5 times at the Worlds, right?
Right.
Open singles, open doubles, and open mixed. But even he will tell you that during those points he tripled, there was something in his game that was missing the whole time that he was trying to get back or was just ignoring. So who knows what it was? It could have been his push side 3-bar. He's just kind of like, that's not there for me, but the rest of my game is so good, no one will ever know it.
Right.
And that's how these guys accommodate.
Interesting. So one specific aspect of your game has to be stellar. The other can be kind of okay. Enough.
Yeah, we've seen people ride things for entire tournaments, and a great example is we talked last week about Dave Gummison winning open singles in 05.
Right.
We don't know what was weak about his game, but we just knew this: his two bar was going to be like an angel was going to be governing his 2-bar for that weekend.
Right.
So it didn't matter. Like every time he got the ball, he was going to score from the 2-bar. Those things happen, right? It didn't matter. His wall pass didn't have to be there. That weekend.
Yeah.
So,
very interesting. Well, guys, I know that because Jim isn't here, we still have to maintain tradition because we always need more social lubricant. What Jim and I like to do right about this time is to reveal our favorite IPA. So since you're standing in for Jim, Midori, I'd like you to give me an idea. What is it that you've chosen for your IPA of the week?
Well, I would say this chose me.
It shows you. Is there a backstory?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I strike you as an IPA drinker, but I'm not.
Okay.
But at Florida State was 3 weekends ago now, and this beer just appeared in the room. I don't know whose it was or who was intended for, but we didn't throw it away, so now I have it.
Okay.
I knew there was a reason I was holding on to it. So I have the Dogfish Head 90-minute Imperial IPA that I'm going to take one sip of.
Nice. The 90-minute is that's good stuff.
I mean, it looks cool in the bottle. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't tell you anything else about it. I'm sure it's going to be, taste like beer.
And what do you think?
Oh, I didn't taste it yet.
You didn't taste it yet. Okay. What are you waiting for?
I don't know how this works. All right, here we go.
Try to drink from the side that's open. Like if
especially with the bottle.
you know what? It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, there you go. So we have someone we've converted with the IPA of the week.
I'll take 2 sips. All
right, nice. Okay.
Now this is where delinquency starts. Like in a week,
I
she'll
think
be
I'm drunk. That was
in a week, she's going to be in a gutter, like begging for money for more IPA. Thank you, Tom.
You're welcome. Well, I'd like to share with you my IPA, which is called Good Fortune. Good Fortune IPA Ale from Common Roots Brewery, just 20 minutes from my front door. And here we go. Oh yeah. Okay, Mark. What kind of water are you drinking this week?
Yeah,
Earl Grey tea, decaffeinated.
No, wait. Hold on.
Decaffeinated.
I thought that you were permitted to only drink water, and that was it because of your fasting, or is that over with?
Well, today I'm starting another fast. So I'm starting a fast today. I'm debating between 3 days and 5 days.
Oh.
But I could have tea today, and then tomorrow will be water. Yeah.
Okay.
Quick side story on the fasting. I was fasting, and then several people reached out to me in private messaging asking me about it. And I gave them some literature, some research. And one of the people was Frederic. So Frederic and I have had a long back and forth. He did 5 days. He just finished fasting, water only. He did 5 days, ended Friday.
Freddie did 5 days?
He did 5 days. Yep. And so he's just had water. He feels great. He integrated some greens and food back into his system starting yesterday. I think now Saturday. Yeah, whatever Saturday was for him.
Okay.
But now I think we're competing. So
right.
I'm going 7 days, I think, maybe. Don't hold me to that.
Okay, so here's a new title from Mark Anthony Torres, FoosBall nutritionist. What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah, that's huge. It's big. Yeah. I always tell people during the zombie apocalypse, I'm going to be a dentist. So just a heads up, I'll be a nutritionist and a dentist.
Man,
yes.
I'm glad to know you're not an anti-dentite. That's good to know.
I'm going to do dental work during the apocalypse. So just a heads up.
I dig it. Wow. We're already going sideways here, and we've only had a couple of sips of beer.
I'm going to be a warlord dentist. I'll be a warlord / you have to have a skill.
Yes.
Something serviceable to the community.
Okay.
Well, guys,
you know what? I don't know what my skill will be. I need to think about
You're gonna teach people how to shoot spray pool shots from the 2-bar. There'll still be foosball tables during the apocalypse. There'll be draw your partners.
Okay.
Except for we'll play for bottle caps and bottles of water. It's going to be great.
I'm going to be driving like Mad Max, through the back streets of Saratoga Springs with, a flamethrower mounted to the top of my car in the apocalypse.
Right. Right. You will, Tom. But one day you're going to have a cavity. You're going to have to trade that car so I can pull that tooth out for you. You see how this works?
I love it. Well, it's only fair that we do the honor group of the week. And of course, because in honor of our guest, we would like to toast all of the nice players in Canada, the nice foosball players from Canada. Canadian players, this is to you. A toast of the honor group of the week. Here's to you. Cheers.
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 Are they really that nice? That's what I want to know. That's the first thing I'm going to ask Mario.
Well, you know what? Let me tell you what, man. In Canada, they're it's like a country of Mormons, and Mormons are some of my favorite people in the world. I love Mormons, but they're so damn nice, and they're like Mormons that drink. Okay, and the thing about Mormons, love Mormons, right? You know what the deal is. If you want to be a Mormon, fine. If you don't, it's totally cool. They're like super cool. So I love Canada because of the Mormon feel.
Right.
How's that?
Yeah, I like that. I think I just got a telemarketing call from the folks, the Mormons, just the other day on my phone. First time it's ever happened, and it said right on the caller ID, the Church of Church of Latter-day Saints, something like that.
Yes, that's it.
Yeah,
Tom.
Yeah. Wow. Instead of coming to my front door in a mask, they're calling me. I appreciate that. Goes straight to voicemail.
Very, very pandemic friendly mission stuff, not missionary, mission stuff.
Mission.
Yeah, mission. Is that the right word?
Missionary.
Mario was here and we lost him. So maybe he heard the Mormon joke, and maybe he's Mormon, so he's dual offended. Maybe Canada plus Mormon just broke him. He's
I think before we get Mario involved in the mix, I think it's only fair that we take a look back in time when it comes to the FoosTalk Live Flashback with great moments in foosball history. This is a FoosTalk Live Flashback.
Another chance to win it right here. For the win, Tony Spredeman. Stokes it home, and there it is. Tony Spredeman is the 2017 Tornado World Singles Champion. For the third year in a row, it's Tony.
That's one of the most high-quality foosball games I've seen in a long time. And
Tony's extraordinary.
Tony's a deserved champion there. He clawed his way back, and he's well-deserved. Congratulations, Tony.
Listen in next time for another great moment in foosball history. It's FoosTalk Live Flashback. 2017 for Tony Spredeman, another singles victory. And I was wondering, I know Jim, of course, appeared in that clip. There's an English accent. Was that Rob Atha by any chance?
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, Rob Atha and Jim commenting on Tony's singles win there. 2017. That's the World's, in fact, open singles.
Yep.
So, exciting stuff.
Match.
Yeah.
Hey, Mario's in the other room now, and he can't get in this room. Let's join him in the other room. You guys want to just migrate over to the general channel?
Well, I think we can probably do that. Let's go join Mario. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Mario.
Hello, Mario.
Hello. It's working.
Yes, it is. Welcome to
A
FoosTalk
miracle
Live.
of technology.
Miracle.
Thank you.
Isn't this where we just were?
Well, for those who aren't in the know when it comes to how we communicate with our guests and actually broadcast through FoosTalk Live, it's something called Discord. It's an app that used for gamers a lot, but it gives us an opportunity to work with our guests and make it sound like we're all sitting in the same room, which technically, virtually, we are. So, Mario, thank you for joining FoosTalk Live.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me, guys. Excited to chat tonight.
Yeah.
Hi, Mario.
Hi, Midori. Long time.
I know. Good to hear from you.
You too. I see you've been powering through the ranks.
I'm trying.
She's
a
a
little
pro.
delayed, but we're getting there.
She's a pro. Come on. It's reason for celebration for sure. And I think that's, for any career, that's quite an achievement. And, Midori, I mean, this is something that, for you, was it something you anticipated happening, 5 years ago?
I don't know if it had, maybe not. I think 5 years ago, for sure, I was only focused on women's events, and I didn't really have anything else in mind, and I didn't think that I would ever be so, I guess, like gung-ho on having my goals set on winning men's events as they are right now. So
Right.
I would say no. 5 years ago. I didn't think so.
Awesome. So, Mario, again, thanks for joining us. And we promise that Mark will not be too abusive to you tonight. Does that sound good?
I mean, he's already just sold me as a meat object on Facebook.
I hate that. Don't you hate that when people just look at you like a piece of meat? You're like, hey, I have feelings. Like my wife, every day, it's like, I have emotions, I have feelings. Please don't treat me like a
we should have
machine.
done this as a video.
Right. Yeah, the
episode,
video version.
and it could just be Mario.
Just Mario's
Just his arms.
neck, like just his neck with a foosball table on his back, like he works out every day.
So, Mark,
Animal.
How do you practice? I mean,
yeah, right. I was just going to ask the same thing. I mean, come on. So Mario, it's tradition here at FoosTalk Live with our guests. We have to kind of begin with the beginning, and of course, I mean this literally. So, for you, when it comes to foosball, where did it all start? First of all, when did you see your first foosball table, and how old were you at the time?
okay. I'm not even sure I have the memory intact, but I know I was like two.
Two?
Yeah. It's a bit of a different story. So my parents obviously came from Italy, if you couldn't tell from both my first and my last name.
Right.
They immigrated to Canada, but my dad, much like many youth, foosball or Jitoni, there is a kind of a rampant to go and just enjoy and play in cafes.
Got it.
So him and his friend at one point, after they moved here and after I was born, they decided to build a table because his friend had some carpentry skills.
Oh, build a table?
Yeah. So they got the parts from the Italian table, the rods and the mat, built the cabinet themselves. So that was my first foosball table at the ripe old age of 2, standing on a stool.
That's great. And I mean, if they built it themselves, I mean, the craftsmanship must have been pretty amazing, because a lot of these commercial tables don't have that kind of, especially when you're younger like that, they don't have that kind of durability. Did it last a long time?
It took some abuse from a lot of Italian family members playing. It's still in my mom's basement and still working quite nicely.
Really? No kidding. That is cool.
That's really cool. That is really cool.
Yeah.
So when it came to finally getting out there and competing, I mean, you were 2 when you first tried it. Now, what was the first time you actually went outside the house and played with other people?
Had family and friends over playing till I was about, I want to say 15.
Okay.
And that wasn't really any sort of, structured play or anything like that. There were no tactics. It was, as per the Italian style, just kind of slamming the ball around as hard as you could and hoping for the best.
Yeah,
at least that's the sort of the rec fastball style. When I was 15, I joined a fastball league up just north of Toronto, and that was kind of my first structured tournament competitive play, and that was fun. But nothing quite like the tornado circuit or the standard ITSF rules of play.
So when you say fastball tournament, was that the name of the table, the fastball?
So the name of the table, I think it might have been mentioned in this podcast a couple of times. I think Linda might have mentioned it. It was a Fabby table. That's like the fastball Italian table.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Dude, I gotta ask, man. Like, so when you play international, you represent Canada versus Italy. Do you feel like a lot of regret and shame? And does your dad still talk to you?
No shame. It's always a great competition playing against those guys. We actually played them the first time we went to the World Cup in 2012, just before the finals in Division 2. It was a fun game against them and a fun chat with them and showing them my really rusty Italian.
Oh, man. That's great.
So I know that one of our quote unquote counterparts in Italy, Buggy Foosball, it's a pretty active podcast slash video stream with Ricardo. Have you talked to those guys at all? Have you worked with them?
Yeah, he did an interview with me, I want to say about 5 or 6 months ago, maybe a little less.
Okay.
It was a great experience. And,
yeah.
There's just a little bit of a language barrier, but most of it got across really well. And we both had a really good time.
Yeah, very cool. So once you were 15 years of age, you stepped outside, you started to play some competitive foosball. When did you realize that you wanted to continue through the ranks and become eventually, now you're a pro level, correct?
Hit master last year.
Okay.
Or a little more over a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
it's a bit of a weird story there where I played the fastball league for a year or two, and these players just and I think I realized it's just there's kind of a bit of a ceiling on fastball just because of the way the rules are set up. You can't really do too much. So I think in my first year of university, this is the more familiar story to most people. I'm sure you go to school or you're in a bar, you see a table, and you're like, oh yeah, I think I know what I'm doing.
Yep.
And I walked into a DYP. That was interesting. So that was on a tornado. And I was like, guys, I know how to play. Don't worry. And, obviously a few beers in at this point too. And got paired off with an expert / pro, I want to say, who still plays quite regularly. And he's like, all right, go up there. Let me see what you can do. And I was like, okay. Shooting a snake on a Fabby, I'm gonna go ahead and preface this, is a very different experience.
Is it? Okay.
Than trying it on tornado. I think they were all impressed because I got the ball, which I'm pretty sure was sheer luck. And then when I tried to shoot, I am sure I completely missed the ball and just walked away in shame.
Oh.
But that's where I met most of the Toronto players, and they invited me out to play more often, and just really started learning from there with them, kind of beating me up every week. But it was a great experience each and every.
Okay, so you certainly, like a lot of us who went through that stage, was there a point after you kept going back after getting your butt kicked every week where you just said, you know what, I'm addicted? Do you remember that moment?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, probably after the first time after I saw somebody do a tic tac pass on the 5, I was like, oh, this looks really cool. It looks really structured and really controlled. And I distinctly remember like buying my first table at Cyclone 2 and sticking it in not even my dorm room, my friend's dorm room, because he had a bigger room a week or two after that. And just going and trying to learn how to do a pass.
Right. Gotcha. What now, obviously, when you finally started to compete, what was the first time you attended a major?
2007. I guess it was called the Kickoff. I think it's still called the Kickoff in Kentucky.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I was rated as a beginner, and I think that was after roughly 6 months of practice, in a basement with the Toronto guys. I definitely did not win anything, but I am sure I surprised some people. I think there's a photo of me, Todd, in a match, and he has an expression of like, "Where did this guy come from with a tic tac pass?"
Interesting. Nice. So you get some notice. Well, one of the things I have to say, and I've had a chance to play you back in 2014, I think it was, in New York State Championships. This is back when it was still held in Syracuse, New York.
I missed that tournament.
Yeah, or was it 2013? I've forgotten the year, but I know that I was playing with another person, my friend Jay. We played against you. I believe it was either pro or open doubles. I've forgotten what it was, but as I recall, you basically toyed with us the entire time. I have to admit.
I never toy. I always try to bring my best game. Honestly, it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, it was. You were very gracious, I do have to say, but it was a pleasure to see your talent. One of the things I noticed about Canadian players in general, from the beginner on up, they're very disciplined players. Is that true?
For the most part, yeah. I think there's definitely a few players in Toronto that like to freestyle a lot more, but because we have a smaller group that's slowly gotten bigger, but it was always been a bit of a small group.
Mm-hmm.
And there's usually one table with 6 people. If you don't play the high percentage way most of the time, you're not going to play for very long or very often on one of those practice nights.
Right.
So I think that's where it comes about for the most part.
Absolutely. And the reputation of being nice people, is that warranted?
Yeah, what's the real, dude? I imagine that some of you guys have to be serial killers. So I know, like, generally the most likable. You heard my shtick about Mormons, right? I love Mormons.
Yeah.
And I love Canadians. But is it true? Like, you guys just all really, really sterile, nice, like humble, or are some of you guys just assholes pretending? Go for it.
Yeah, no, they're okay. I think that they're all definitely pretending. Like I bet it's a cult, and you all get together and you have to uphold the stereotype that you are all the nicest people. And you've got me. I mean, you kind of have me fooled, but I'm also not buying it. So I just want to know the truth.
Yes.
We actually have like a weekly private conference call among Canadians just to complain about Mark.
I knew it.
Finally, the truth. We're getting to the truth.
And if someone gets a little out of hand, like you have an intervention and tell them they need to, like they're blowing your cover.
Yes.
We just threatened to send them to America.
Ooh, low blow. There's something shady because the whole bacon thing, right? It's like, come on, that's clearly ham. You knew there's something dark going on.
But delicious.
Yes.
Something dark going on.
I do prefer Canadian bacon, if I might say that. Just to set the record straight.
So is it just ham? I don't know this whole. It is just ham, right?
Well, it's all ham.
No one tell Midori. No one tell Midori. No one tell her. No one tell her.
Well,
Everyone be quiet. Everyone be quiet. Everyone be quiet. Everyone
like
be quiet.
normal ham, like breakfast ham. It's
Go
just breakfast ham.
Go Google it.
Google it.
Everyone turn on Midori. Everyone turn on Midori now.
Wait, I've got a real question. No, wait, let me
please.
get the attention off of me. Mario, I like this question a lot because
Okay.
I also would like to know, I guess, your best win, but I want to know your toughest loss.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. I can probably start with toughest loss. So I'm not great at remembering match details. I feel like I've just played a lot of matches and they all just get lost. Yeah, Midori, I'm sure you experience it too. But worst loss definitely was against Brandon Munoz, who's an awesome player. I played him in the finals of Pro Singles.
Oh yeah,
Vegas or Worlds. I don't know what it was, but it was a year or two ago. He is just an awesome player with a lot of power in a lot of ways. A little bit the opposite of me, where anyone will tell you I do not play hard. I do not play super fast. I just kind of rely on IQ, like FoosBall IQ, I guess. But every time he scored, I was like, "Oh God, it hurts! It's so loud."
It's so loud.
And it didn't help that he had his whole posse there, and they were just yelling in the stands every time he scored. And
no kidding.
Those South Americans get loud, which is awesome to see, but just jarring.
Not against you. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Best win. I'm gonna say one of two. I played Rob Atha last year, and I've played him, I want to say, 3 times in singles. And this is the first time I've beaten him, and that felt amazing because he's been like my foosball arch nemesis for a while.
Really?
I love Rob, but Rob, if you're listening to this, hate playing you so much.
That's typically a one-way feeling when you're like 0-2 against somebody. But go ahead, keep going.
Yeah. And the other one I'm thinking of is when Sean Lee and I beat Bobby Diaz and Ryan Moore.
That's awesome.
That was a great win for us because
yeah,
I've beaten Ryan and Bobby with Brian Jones. I want to say once or twice, but I've been playing goalie, so this is my first time beating them playing forward. Scoring on Bobby, always a good feeling.
Yeah,
you're right.
No kidding. Now to have that kind of a win, now do you have like a ritual that you do something special for yourself after a big win like that, or is that just another day at the foosball table?
Canadians are sacrifice goats to like split them wide open to the Dark Lord. Boom.
Goats. Nah, man. Polar bears. You got it all.
Polar bears. Yeah.
Yeah, an endangered species. Better yet. I like it.
That's how we get the wins. Sorry, what was the question? I got lost in polar bears.
Yeah, I was just wondering if there was something you did, to celebrate after a win against Ryan Moore. I mean, that's not every day.
No, definitely not. And it's just one of those things where you get that sort of adrenaline rush, and then immediately after, honestly, I just walk around being like, yes, but it's just this immediate adrenaline dump, and I almost feel like I want to pass it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the depression hits you again. You're like, damn, I just want to jump off a building again. I'm kidding.
Right?
That's not true. Yeah. No, not at all.
So what is it that you do to go through a weekend tournament, let's say a Thursday through even sometimes early Tuesday? What do you do to maintain your stamina for an entire tournament?
Interesting question. I mean, there's the usual stuff like constant snacking, you're eating at the right time, sort of thing. And it's a bit weird because what I've experienced is, generally speaking, the higher up you go in the ranks, the less time you spend playing, and the more time you spend, which is tough to stay warm, as I'm sure everybody knows. But I will put one interesting point out there, which is, I think I started on the tour, like I said, when I was about 20. And now I'm 34. And as I've gotten older, my energy levels have just continued to drop over time.
Right.
And when you're starting out and younger, and you go play, and you're like, oh, I'm going to see friends, it's gonna be great, gonna have some beers. One thing my partner Sean Lee tells me quite a bit is now at these later tournaments in the last year, he's like, so you're not allowed to have a beer until we are done for the night because you slow way down.
Oh, really?
Like, all right, fair enough. Yeah. Solid advice, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, also have had to limit pickup games more and more as the years have progressed, because the more you play throughout the weekend, by the time you hit that, like you said, Monday, almost Tuesday mornings, and your body is dead and you are exhausted.
Right. There's no gas left in the tank, so to speak. So the whole idea is how do you pace yourself, and how do you actually? I mean, if you're going to make it to the finals of any of the open events, I mean that's a long wait.
Yeah, I mean, I will say I've noticed they've gotten better over the last few years at trying to make sure open finals are at a reasonable time.
Right.
The competitors have that energy and can play. There's some events have those finals. I remember being in the final of like a handicap doubles in Vegas at like 6 a.m. on a Monday or something.
Ouch. Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
Yeah. That's inhuman in so many ways, because most people are like, pretty much spent by that time. So the true champions are those who can stay awake for 36 to 48 hours without sleep or eating. I understand some players actually do fast. I've forgotten who it was. Was it Mike Bowers, Mark, that said that he fasts for
a lot of people actually? Lafredo started a thing. That's when I first started fasting too. I fast. These guys would fast, like Scotty Weidman, Robert Mars, Todd Lafredo, Spear. These guys would fast from Friday through the end of the tournament and win the tournament, and then eat after the tournament was over. Yeah, Bowers fasted too. Bowers, all those guys, a lot of guys did. Some guys clearly didn't fast. But a lot of guys did fast.
That's astounding. Astounding. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's Mark, I know you've been batting this around for quite some time, but we're wondering, Mario, in your perspective as a Canadian player, what do you think about changing things up a bit? Because foosball matches, especially at the top level, tend to be like chess matches. Very quiet, everybody very focused, watching the match. Nobody's speaking, and it's quiet until, of course, the end. But what do you think about maybe, I don't know, livening things up a bit? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I've seen I'm gonna say the stirring the pot post that Mark has been putting up on Facebook.
Wait, all 19 of them, Mario? Are you sure you've seen all 19 of them?
You're social media savvy, let me tell you.
That's hilarious.
I think it's a great idea, but as per some of the comments I've seen in those threads, like just the difference between foosball and some of those other sports where there's that screaming is just the distance between the crowd and the players, right? Those bleachers are right up against the tables, and the problem is, of course, if you throw them farther away, then it's going to be really hard for them to see other than watching the TV.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of like spirit, I think it's a great thing for people to be able to cheer on their player. The other problem being, hey, well, I know both players, which happens 90% of the time.
Yeah, right.
How do you make sure there's no hard feelings after?
Right. Agreed. So it's been a tough one forever. Yeah, I didn't mean to be disruptive. I was just doing that thing where I talk out loud and I'm agreeable. You can keep going, dude. Keep talking.
No, it's
like Mark. You've posted a bunch of these threads. Have you seen anything like, way of a solid future direction to allow that sort of thing?
See, that's the thing. People think I'm just yapping. People think I'm just posting for the purpose of posting. That's not what's happening.
You're doing research. I know.
And I actually have an agenda, and I don't want to sound too conniving. That's not what it is. It's not super clever, but these conversations are happening at a high level with people that are influential. So I wouldn't waste my time just singularly posting the same nonsense over and over. And I am poking around to see what the responses are like, and there is a middle ground somewhere. I love how, depending on how people filter my posts, there's a huge range, and some people who really, and remember, people have their bias too. If you really like the game the way it is, or you're very habitual and you like the way it is now, and then you're gonna filter it a certain way. It's gonna seem it's gonna seem terrifying. It's gonna be scary, like this idea of people being able to commune in the middle of a match and noise. But if you see it from a different perspective, and that is, yeah, there's what the players like, there's what the players prefer. But there's been rules changes to all professional sports over time to accommodate spectatorship. And the biggest one, the most obvious one, the biggest one are TV timeouts. Multiple timeouts were added to accommodate advertising. So the game was played a certain, like baseball is another one, speeding up the game or slowing it down to add for more time to show commercials and advertising. That's spectator friendly. That's business friendly. It's done whether players liked it or not. The rules changed to advance the game to be more commercial. So that's what I'm talking about. What rules need to be changed that don't necessarily benefit the player? Like I'm not super. I don't care that much. I mean, the player is fine. But there's been pretty much a static or decreasing number of competitors. Has had no growth at all is spectatorship. So I guess to put this all in a nutshell, what are the rules you need to change? I mean, who cares about the competitor? Make it more fan friendly. That's where I am with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I guess, I don't know. I'm kind of two minds here because like you look at a thing like, and I know this is not going to be in equal comparison, but you look at a thing like tennis, right? Which has a ton of spectators and it's quiet most of the time. I guess like what's the difference? Like why do we feel like allowing people to cheer?
Huge difference.
Go ahead.
Like massive difference. Okay, so let's start off with all the things that foosball has against it. Foosball is not easy to learn, not easily accessible to people, almost impossible to follow for a common spectator. Like they can't. It's scary to think, but the common person can't see a slow-moving pull shot where it's going. And then you put someone like Ryan Moore or someone like Billy Pappas. I can't see where the ball's going sometimes. I have no idea where the ball just vanishes into thin air sometimes. So, I posted this too on Facebook that at its crux, foosball looks like a dinner table where four people are playing with their food. You can't see what's happening, right? So you have all that. So now tennis is something completely. Tennis is easily observable. People know exactly what's going on. Any schmuck, although they'll hit the ball over the fence, can pick up a racket and try to hit a ball. It has all these things going for it that foosball doesn't have, and it's not like unlike the Kentucky Derby or any number of other NASCAR. Like NASCAR, gosh, come on, man. I mean, I still don't get it. No offense to everybody listening that loves NASCAR. These are cars going in a flipping circle.
Hang on. What do you mean you don't like NASCAR? What the?
It's Dave Currington. He's back.
I'll tell you what. Let me tell you what's so great about NASCAR. Beer. All right, keep going with your story.
Dave Currington, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. I gotta go down to the bar real quick, and I'll see y'all later.
Anyway, man, this rant gets competitive, man. I mean, it's hugely different. You got to look at foosball more like darts, but even less entertaining than darts. You got to look at it. It's less entertaining than cornhole. It's less entertaining than chess or checkers because you can't see. No one knows what's going on. Go ahead.
Totally agree with what you're saying, but it's interesting because we started this with cheering, right? But when you start describing the problem, the big problem that we always get to is that people cannot see what is happening.
Right.
Like how do we address that problem? If you can see what's happening, you don't even need to understand what's happening because like I watch tennis. I have no idea what their strategy is, but I enjoy watching it. Right. So how do we make it such that you can see what is going on a foosball table?
Yeah, there's technology out there. I've been exposed to some of it, some interesting stuff. Ball tracking based on the sound of the ball, cameras in lights, those miniature little cameras up in the LED lighting, all kinds of unique stuff that would instill. Like one of the things that foosball is going to need, even in tennis, there's a human drama like in tennis, there's theatrics going on between the players, there's drama. Foosball is the most entertaining when the human element is interposed with the match. And it's funny when you see someone posted these great videos from the 92 World Championships, and Todd Lafredo's throwing the rod and Adrian's yelling between balls, and there's I was there, by the way. I was at the tournament. There's huge crowds of people. I was there. Yeah, I was watching my buddy Adrian lose in the finals of open doubles at the Worlds. Even if you go, even with all this technology, which I've looked at, and some of it's really great, some of it's not from outside of the country. Even with all that technology, you still need the human element. You still need the drama with foosball, and it doesn't mean I don't mean the WWF and pro wrestling and all that stuff. I mean people like emoting and the crowd responding. That's a big deal. So anyway,
right? No, it's there has to be something that what we call this in broadcasting is you've got to find the hook. How do you find the hook? How do you pull people into this and get them addicted to just watching it? It's probably one of the it's very difficult to turn it into a spectator sport, but there's a formula. There has to be a way. If you can make poker.
I want to get Midori's take on this.
Yeah, Midori. Yeah, what do you think?
So I think the issue is how to do this while being able to watch matches that are live, because the feedback that I got from people that don't play foosball and aren't familiar with it or how it works and had never watched it before on the special that they did on ESPN after the documentary for the ITSF World Cup from 2019, people that I talked to really enjoyed watching that from the commentary, and then the slow-mo replays and the ball tracking and explaining the different tricks that they did, because they knew it was being broadcasted to non-foosball people or people that had probably never seen it played professionally like that. People were like, that's so cool. You see those banks that they were doing, and the words that they heard that were being described to them, they were using to tell me what they liked about it. And so but obviously that was all added in afterwards. So I don't know if there's a middle ground to be able to do some of that on the spot. But I see what you're saying as far as, because that would still be watching that on a screen as opposed to how many people can actually get a good view of watching a live table.
Right.
Not that many.
Both Midori, both you and Mario had the pleasure of playing for your teams at the World Cup in Europe, and yet in that circumstance, there's no money on the line. It's all for medals, and the stands are filled with spectators. What's up with that?
Midori, you want to go first?
Yeah, I don't know if I want to go first. So I don't know what exactly it is when the stands weren't as full in 2019. I've only been twice. The other time was in France when I was on the junior team, and there were so many more people there. And I know it's a regional thing, there's just more foosball players there.
Right.
But I would like to have another experience that I can tell you things about, because I was so young the first time that I went. But I remember people, there was billboards and there was postage stamps, because people, it's a thing there and people care about it, and people drove from however far away to they knew that event was there, and they knew it was going on that weekend, and they wanted to see it. So people traveled to go watch it, and people sat in the stands and were interested in it, not just all the teams and all the players on all the teams that were sitting in the stands, and maybe some of their friends or family. So what was the question?
No, I was just,
just keep going, Midori. Just keep going.
No, the perspective,
whatever you feel.
Mario, go.
So why are there more spectators at these World Cup events, I think is the question.
Well, the difference between the experience of being a player, in the World Cup and going there and being at these, in this huge arena, so to speak, with these people watching, whereas in this side of the pond, you go there and it's kind of like a library.
Yeah, it's definitely more, I'm going to use the word epic, when we go to these European tournaments, and even the ones that the World Cup is a special thing. on its own. And kudos to the ITSF for organizing it every year and getting it. Generally, they do a fantastic job at promoting and setting up, arranging everything.
Right.
It's definitely more set up for spectators too. They have the big screens, and they have more stands. They have more tables that are centered for that. I don't know. I guess the big screen probably looks like, I don't know, it makes a difference rather than a TV or on your phone or whatever it may be. It just seems like a bigger production when you have camera crew and whatnot, I guess.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because you can see the difference when you watch the coverage of the World Cup, especially in the after the games were over. It's so cool to go in and realize there's such energy in the audience there, and of course in the players competing on the floor. It's just a completely different vibe from anything I've ever seen here at tournament-wise in this country. And it just seems like, man, we got to borrow some of that. We got to bottle it and bring it over here.
Yeah, you read my mind. I was going to use the word energy. You walk into the stadium, and as a player, you can feel the energy from the other players, from the crowd.
Right.
Maybe part of that is the fact that you're a nation. Maybe just because it's a awesome, massive, cool event, like 50 plus countries. But definitely a very different. Nailed it with that word.
I don't think there's any singular thing, because a couple things are happening. First of all, Nantes, France is going to be a bigger event than the other ones because you have Farid and you have his leverage and his resources and his network, and it takes a lot of hard work. They're putting a lot of money and a lot of effort behind driving people to that Nantes event. So that's a huge machine going on in the background that's probably not duplicated in the other countries they've had it. That's the first thing. Second, there's no singular thing, like I said, but that's a big deal, right? Secondly, you have inherent tribalism. So tribalism is this idea that country versus country is going to build like an embedded antagonism competitively, which is a great thing. When focused correctly and it's not a negative thing, then you have that embedded in the competition or someone to root for, right? Now you got you got your flag or the country you're gonna be loyal to in this competition, and it's super friendly, right? Foosers, kumbaya. 50 years from now, you guys might be trying to kill each other, but right now, while we're still in this great little place, it's a real friendly type thing. Those things can be duplicated in interesting ways. By the way, they kind of do it right with the Nations Cup around here, but it's getting the people behind. It's kind of like it's almost like this, and this is a bad analogy because we just talked about it, but it applies. It's not unlike what they do in pro wrestling, where you build a heel and a good guy, and you have a narrative, right? And you have a story, and you get to pick a side, and people buy the shirts and they buy the stuff, and they they're merchandised, and you build these faux platforms for people to support, and you could monetize it.
Well,
Mark, I'd buy your shirt.
I want to be the bad guy.
You want to be the bad guy?
Yes, I can see it. You should be.
I know. I think that'd be fun.
The evil.
Give us your best bad guy line, Midori. By the way, hello everybody. Clay here.
It's Clay. It's
It's
Clay.
the one, and maybe not the only. But let's hear a good. What's a good bad guy? Well, that's not a good bad guy place to start.
I don't know. It'd probably be like in your face. I don't know.
In your face, but I'm sorry if it hurt.
Your mom. I don't know.
Hey,
you take your glasses off first.
I gotta work on it. I'm not. I gotta work on it.
Like a Care Bear stare, like that kind of evil.
Hey, I think Care Bears are kind of scary, just naturally. I think they're a little freaky.
Exactly.
I don't lie.
A little creepy.
We'll work on that though, Midori. I got plenty of bad guy lines for you.
Okay, yeah, I need to borrow some.
We'll have that ready for next time.
Jeez.
Perfect.
Wow. So Mario, when it comes to the whole idea of playing for your country, what was that like the first time you played for Team Canada?
Oh man, the first time and the subsequent times were very different. If not only for the reason that the first time I went, we were in Division 2, which was I'm not even sure how it happened. I think it's because we were in for a number of years. But it's always an interesting problem, the World Cup, and getting the best players in to go, at least for us, because a lot of it comes down to just how expensive the trip is.
Right.
And like you mentioned already, unlike American tournaments, you're not gonna win any money back by doing well there.
Right.
So that's definitely one piece of the experience. But going there and playing as a team, and actually love being the Canadian team there, because generally speaking, and you guys are welcome to laugh at this, Canadians are just welcome everywhere. Everyone's like, oh, you're from Canada, bro.
Isn't that true? I think that's absolutely true, though. Yeah, there's no animosity towards Canadians. I mean, after all, I think most people are in other places of the world are sympathetic because your southern neighbors are such. Well, I'm not going to say, but you got to put up with those Americans, really. You know, we sympathize with you.
Oh, I think they're just they're happy that we get away from cold weather for a bit.
Right. Speaking of which, what's the temperature like where you are tonight?
In Celsius, it's about -5 or 6, which I think translates to what, 25 degrees Fahrenheit?
Yep, 25, yeah, 25, 24, yeah. Okay, so yeah, I feel your pain, man. That's it's 30 degrees and mighty windy here in upstate New York. So we're close. Right. We're close. So what have you been doing since COVID? How have you been staying fresh in this game?
Honestly, I think I have not played someone else since the pandemic started. I might have gone out once to somebody's house.
Okay.
But that was several months ago. In Toronto specifically, we have had what's called a stay-at-home order since mid-December. It's recently been lifted, but not to sort of substantial. It's like we can't go into anyone's house.
Gotcha.
So it's definitely been tough. I've been keeping busy with life, doing other things. I know outside of FoosBall, there are other things, which is crazy to think about. But
right.
Haven't had the drive to spend much time on the table, because without tournaments, there's no way to gauge whether I'm getting better or to have any sort of incentive to practice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm glad you brought this up. I want to talk about this too.
Yes.
Because I feel the same way. Like I, especially, you know, without knowing for sure that the tournament's going to happen, or if you're going to be able to go to it, or whatever it may be, like that's usually where I draw motivation. Is like I know that there's a deadline, I guess you could say, of when you want to have your game to whatever the next level, or you just know that at that time, like you need to bring your A game. So like that's where I draw motivation, and that's where I need to practice, and you have your countdown till your tournament, and you kind of gain motivation as you get closer to that deadline. And without having that, I have had like no motivation at all to practice, because I don't know, it's just
it's psychological.
Without, yeah, for sure. You know, it's like I don't even know. Yeah, there's no way to gauge how you're doing against other people. I don't know. It's just such a weird feeling, because I really don't enjoy just sitting on a table and practicing when I don't have like a goal in my head or something that I feel like I'm practicing for.
Yeah.
So
I think I spent for the first time a couple of hours early on in the pandemic on the table and learned an aerial, because I was like, well, don't need this for a tournament, but you know.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Maybe I'll learn some cool trick shots, and then I didn't.
Yeah.
Well, so Midori, you were just competing in Florida States recently? I mean, that was what, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah, it was about 3 weeks ago, which I guess we did have that, which I didn't even know. I don't know. I guess I knew a ton of people would show up, but it still didn't even feel like a tournament, because I didn't go anywhere for it. And, you know, that's kind of part of the whole experience, I feel like, is going somewhere and you're prepping. And I usually have like a whole routine. And I was just like, all right, I'm just going to go drive down the road and play some foosball now.
Got it. Yeah. No, it's in your neighborhood. It's in, you know, it's close. So that makes sense. So, Mario, here's a quick question for you. Let's say the pandemic ends in a month and everybody can go back to, quote unquote, whatever normal is going to be in the future. And you can start to play again. What's the first tournament you'd like to be involved with?
Honestly, whatever would be like
any
in terms
tournament.
of time closest. Yeah, just get me in a room with some tables.
Here, let me help you with that. Texas State, Memorial Day weekend, May 28th through May 31st. There you go,
See? There you go. Texas State's May 28th through the 31st. That's and of course you guys are no longer wearing masks now, right, Clay?
If you see it on the news, it's probably not true. So I went to the store today, and there was a few Bubbas and Uncle Papa's, walking through the grocery store. Just, I'm so tough that, look, all right, totally. This is not foods related, but I have to tell somebody this story. All right. To answer your question, yes, we're still wearing masks for the most part. It's just not legally mandated that we do that. But, we're still wearing masks. So like I said, there's a few random, NASCAR fans who, it's random callback there who think that, well, God didn't say it in the Bible, so I don't have to do it, so somehow that applies to mask. I'm offending people, so I'll move on to the next thing I was going to say. So I go to get the shot. So I'm done with my groceries. I'm coming out, and there's a dude coming in, and he looks at me. I don't know why. I don't know if he thought we were cousins, but he's like, you don't have to wear your mask anymore, because I was wearing mine. He wasn't wearing his. I was like, yeah, it's cool. Why are you talking to me? I don't know you. Bye. One of those. I don't know. I'm not really friendly with people I like, much less total strangers. And so I only had like 2 bags. I was just getting a couple steaks, so I took my bags out and I said, hey, you can take my cart. You can take, so you don't have to get one. He's like, oh no, I'll get one of the ones that's been sterilized. Like, do you realize how hilarious that is? Right? I'm looking around for cameras. Like, you're not wearing a mask because my God didn't say I had to do it, so I'm not gonna do it. But you're afraid to touch the icky shopping cart. So no idea where that fits in this conversation, but it's now out of my head. So
perspective is everything. Perspective is everything.
Yeah. So we are wearing masks though, and I don't know what the rules will be come May when Texas State, which I just heard like yesterday, is confirmed. Okay. I don't know what the rules are, what the restrictions are. I don't know what anything is going on, but it is tons of people are getting vaccinated. Okay. And that's actually why I missed the beginning of this. My mom recently is off her 14-day quarantine after her second vaccination, so she was over for dinner. Wow. Yay! Very cool. Awesome. So life is getting back to normal-ish, and somebody like me, I can relate to this whole itch to just get out and be free again, because like we talk about it, it's no secret now. I did time in prison, so I know what it feels like to just have that moment. Like, we're almost out. And just waiting for we have these conversations on the inside, like, what are we going to do when we get out? And I don't know. So I can relate to all that. And foosball is coming back, like, hopefully this year soon. May big time is when Texas State is coming back. So
all right. I would think there's going to be a small part of me that's going to be freaking out when I am in a giant people.
That's normal. Yeah. I mean, I freaked out when I got out the first time I rode in a car, because I hadn't done it in 3.5 years.
I still freak out, you guys. When I get in the car, I freak out. It's like
I'm freaked out right now.
Hell out of me. Yeah. I'm having an anxiety attack. Listen, you guys. May 28th is going to be badass. Texas State, so it's 10 weeks out. Okay, people are getting vaccinated. More and more people are getting vaccinated.
Millions per day.
Yes, some locations are reaching herd immunity. Other people are getting COVID and surviving, and so I think 10 weeks out, it's going to be prime time. People should mark it on their calendars. I think
now, when you say herd immunity, do you mean that's when I heard about my aunt getting vaccinated? That means now I'm immune too. Is that what that means? The herd immunity?
It's exactly what I mean.
Right. Well, by God, I'm heard it too. I heard it, and so now, so be it. So let it be written. So let it be done. I'm vaccinated. Amen.
Mario, can I ask you the question now? Is this what they mean when they say the ugly American? Is this true?
Is that for me or for
Clay's inner voice?
You too.
What the inner voice? I have so many. My inner voices don't even speak English. It's just hieroglyphics and question marks and different like just function keys on a keyboard. So
I love it. I love it. It's Jim has no idea what he's missing.
Well, you might have it. He'll know soon enough.
I'm sure
the emails will come in. Jim,
Yes.
you got to get that guy out of there. I thought it was going to be clean for a night.
I mean, I just wanted Jim to be here because he's one of the few people that says my last name like correctly and with gusto.
I can do it. I can do it.
Hey, hit me.
Wait. Oh shit. Is it? Oh, pardon. Oh, it's Mario. Is it Mario or Mario? I've heard Mario. I know the last name, but is it Mario or Mario?
I honestly use both because people.
Okay,
ask
so
me,
then,
like,
all right,
coin,
so
I don't
it's bilateral. All right, cool. Mario Iannuzzi.
Fantastic. Well done.
Yeah, there you go.
It's Mario Iannuzzi.
Come on.
Yeah,
on table one.
You have to use your hand while you're doing it.
I did.
The 2017 Pro Singles World Champion, Mario Iannuzzi. I don't know if I got the year right, but I'm pretty close.
Listen, I grew up in an Italian neighborhood, okay? I mean, I'm living down the streets from the Avanzados and the Rossis. They taught me how to play foosball, in fact. So
I thought Iannuzzi was Jamaican.
Iannuzzi is Jamaican.
It was, but last year we flipped it the time.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce to the show Cricket. That's our good friend.
Nice.
This is what mute buttons were made for. All right.
Let me draw the contrast here, though, because when I'm talking about Jim pronouncing my name correctly, there was a point, I don't know, 6-7 years ago when people were doing tournaments, my name would come up. There was one distinct point where I remember somebody struggling to say my name. Mario, Mario, you know who you are. Get to table 16.
Mario, that's actually
right.
No, it's I know it's something that, especially in the foosball world, because we're all kind of different culturally. I mean, there's a mix and mash of all the different types of people that play this game, and so there's always going to be a bit of that going on. But thank you for your patience this evening, Mario. We greatly appreciate it. But
I'm 1 for 1, by the way. Let the stats show that I'm 1 for 1.
That's one.
Yeah, but it's literally it's spelled out phonetically on the foos board. Back when that was a thing that people actually looked at more than once a year. In his sub, like the little the what do they call it? The subline or not the subline?
Signature.
Signature. Yeah, there we go. Fancy word. It spelled it out like phonetically. So that's actually where I saw that. And I've heard Jim. I mean, I've watched every video that has ever been recorded in the library there. So I've also heard it a lot. But originally, my understanding of his last name and the ability to pronounce it is from having it. I didn't know anything about him. That's the first thing I learned about him was how to say his last name.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So there you go.
Very cool.
I met Mario. I think it might have been your first Vegas tournament. I'm not sure. It was Mario, Neutran, some gal named Kelly Scott. It was 07 Hall of Fame. You were a rookie, dude, right? It's like 07. You were a rookie. And I don't know how the hell, like, Joe Hamilton was in your room and he was like in his underwear. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What the hell's going on here? And then we're like, we're at the bars like Friday night. We're drinking until like just till the morning. It was a great time, but I thought, oh, some Canadians are here. We'll never see them again. And here you are 14 years later, still kicking butt and taking names, man. Do you remember this? Like 07. Was that your first Hall of Fame tournament?
Yeah, that's right. And what happens in Vegas stays on Facebook.
That's hilarious.
Mario, do you partake of IPAs? Do you India Pale Ale? Do you?
I do. There's a brewery out here in Hamilton called Collective Arts that makes a few really good ones.
Nice. We'll have to make the trip. Now you're just north of Toronto, you say?
I'm actually just moved now. I lived downtown for the last several years, but now I'm just east of Toronto, about half an hour in Scarborough.
Got it. Yeah, we'll definitely have to make the trip. Is Toronto a hotbed when it comes to playing foosball in Canada? Are there a lot of players there these days?
Yeah. These days is always a little tricky. But
those days, I think is probably
PC pre-COVID. I think we had about, I want to say 40 or so, 50 maybe players that have gone to a tournament, and I want to say 20 to 30 that are like repeat offenders.
Offenders.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's definitely a reasonably sized base, and thanks to some awesome promotion efforts by Dan Packer, who's running GTA FoosBall.
Okay.
Definitely a lot more activity now, and we're getting newer players coming into the bar where we have a couple to check it out. So yeah, definitely growing.
Now, I know that there are a group of guys every year in Montreal. They do a Bonzini tournament. Have you played Bonzini at all?
So in Quebec, the Bonzini Association is super active. They do a fantastic job organizing tournaments. I think they have 4 to 6 a year, regularly, and just sort of rotating throughout different Quebec. They probably, as a province, I would guess, have the largest foosball player base.
Mm-hmm.
Between the Bonzini players, the ones that play Fireball and Tornado.
Right.
Probably have 150 to 200 regular players.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, they've done a great job, and they're all. And this is gonna kind of loop back to the European discussion we were having. They're all relatively young, they're all sort of 40 and under.
Right.
And I wanted to just take a trip back to that European discussion to be like, one of the other factors I think that makes a huge difference in that energy is that most of the best European players, with the exclusion a couple of older ones that are like the legend, but the newer best players are all in their late teens, early 20s, sort of huge contrast.
Interesting.
I got a question for you on that. So there's something brewing right now. It's getting pretty hot. I mean this. I'm not being a joker. It's getting pretty hot. It's Jim Stevens and Ken Alwell are on a text thread with me, and those guys are going at it. Like it started off with basketball, and then it was like Scrabble, some Scrabble game that they played in 1980.
What?
And it's seriously, yeah, they're getting crazy. Now this turned into Jim Stevens saying, "I will smash you in a singles match, Kenny. I will smash you." And Kenny's laughing at him like, this battle of the 80s push kicks or whatever the hell, 70 push kicks. So Mario, Kenny is out there. Have you played him much? Does his game? This guy was a gunslinging mercenary stud, like total badass in the 70s. Very good in the 90s, by the way. Got to the finals of Open Mixed Worlds in 92 or 90. Great player. Have you played Kenny much? What does his game look like? And if you had to lay down odds, Jim Stevens versus Ken Alwell in open singles 3 out of 5, where do you put your money?
So interesting question. All right, I'm gonna start with Ken. Ken's a great guy, and one of the few people I would say is one of my foosball mentors.
Yeah,
because he's been in Toronto and he's been in and out of Toronto the last several years. So definitely have played with him a bunch in sort of our concentrated Toronto tournament practice session. Great guy to talk to. Just knows so much about the game, and it was great to have that in the Toronto scene. Most of us, started 2005 or later, sort of thing. We were not playing in the 70s. So Ken versus Jim. I honestly have not seen Jim play that much. It's kind of a crime that I haven't seen it. If I had to lay down money, I would probably have to go with Ken. He's still got a lot of solid mechanics.
Yeah.
That's the nicest way to pick somebody that I've ever heard. Just,
I
haven't seen him play, so I gotta go. I want to.
It's a crime. It's a crime.
It's a crime that I haven't seen.
So Canadian. So Canadian.
When you see him play, you might say that that's a crime.
Yeah.
You never know.
Mario, tell me about Ken's push kick. How does this push kick look right now?
Oh man, I haven't seen him play in a couple of years. I wish I could tell you.
We're back to this.
Oh God, yeah, we're back to being a nice guy.
Ask me the question.
He's gonna light Jim's ass up.
This is what I want to hear him say. I want to hear him say, you know what, man? He says it's good, but it's trash. That's just one time I want to hear Mario say that he's trash. He thinks it's good, but it's trash.
Trying to sully my reputation as a Canadian.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon, really.
I don't either, but I can dream.
So I know that you and Midori know each other, and she was talking to us earlier before the show about a fashion statement you once made. So Midori, what would that fashion statement be for Mario?
Well, it was my fashion statement.
Okay.
I mean, tie-dye shirts. I mean, I think they were in or I wanted them to be. I think they're actually back in now. So I know I've been promising Mario a tie-dye shirt for like 20 years now.
He
at
has
this point.
lied to me for 20 years, guys.
Good Lord.
But now they're actually in. So I think I can actually get you one now.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think you're going to make
Short
it
version of the story is Midori was wearing, I think, a tie-dye shirt, and I was like, awesome shirt. This was like 10 years ago or something. She was like, yeah, okay, I'll make you one. And I was like, cool. Do I have one? No.
No, I did. I said I did not follow through, but I'm waiting for the perfect moment. I'm telling you.
You've been home for a year. Nobody's left their house since like February 2020.
It's really difficult. It's tie-dye's been very not stocked on the shelves.
All right. Well, I got some bad news for you. I work for Amazon, so I know that that's a lie. I bought one for my kid for his birthday.
False stat. False stat.
Fake.
All right.
That is a fake
There's
stat
still some
indeed.
time. There is time.
Yeah.
Just wait till he's like 50, accepting his Hall of Fame induction. Someone's like, new Tran is introducing him. You bring him a tie-dye shirt.
There you go.
Ooh, a jacket. Tie-dye jacket.
Tie-dye Hall of Fame jacket. Yeah, that's what's up.
That's money.
Wow.
That's good.
Something to look forward to.
I did have full intentions of making this shirt at some point.
You know, maybe if we talk to Ryan, we could have FoosGear set up a tie-dye booth, like a tie-dye shirt booth, because I know he's had like shirt like on the on-site T-shirt, stamper dilly thingies or whatever. So I don't know.
I saw that in Kentucky.
Then it would actually get made.
Yeah,
right.
It's because you have like everybody there like calling you out on it. So
no, I know.
It's got to come from. It can't come from FoosGear. It's got to come from Midori's blood, sweat, and tears.
Oh, I love it.
There we go.
Love it. Yes.
But now I like really, really have to.
Yep. Yeah, we'll all hold you accountable on that one.
Give me a hard time
Why?
if I don't.
It's been 10 years. You haven't felt any pressure then. Why would you
another
care
decade?
now?
I told you I was waiting for tie-dye to get back in style.
Oh,
I wasn't going to give him a tie-dye shirt when they weren't in.
Well, that's thoughtful of you and also total BS, but all right.
Man, hey, totally.
It's the truth. It's the truth.
You know, when I was a kid, my dad was like, you need to clean your room. And I was like, Dad, I'm just going to wait for it to come back in style, and then I'll clean my room.
Like bell bottoms.
Mm-hmm.
They're back in. See, it's a
Get out of here.
Bell bottoms.
They are not.
Bell bottoms are not back in. I'm going to have to.
They're back in.
Where? Back in the trash. Back in the trash.
Metropolitan Florida. And always Canada, by the way. Always Canada.
Always.
Mario, what do you say about bell bottoms and foosball?
Everybody's wearing shorts. Nobody's wearing bell bottom.
only Canadians are wearing shorts.
Hey, listen. If you're living in a place where it's usually -6 or 7 Celsius and you go south of the border, you're going to be wearing shorts no matter where you go. Plain and simple. Right, Mario?
I would love to see the temperature range of a foosball tournament room over the weekend, because at the beginning it's super cold. In the middle, when everybody's there, it's like 95 degrees.
Yeah,
exactly.
I want to say it's probably something like 65 degrees before people get in there, and then everybody gets in there, and foosers are notorious for just blowing hot air, and so that's when all the
present company accepted.
Making up stats. All right, here's a question. Here's a Tom and Mario question. If I want to throw like a 25 grander, why should I throw what's upstate New York or Toronto? And what are the pluses and minuses? Why would I want to throw it in northern New York or in Canada?
Ooh, Mario?
Yeah. So I've done the upstate New York thing. Love the tournaments, miss them. Really, it feels like it's been a while.
It has.
We've talked about trying to have like a big tournament in Toronto, but honestly, it's so hard to get Americans to cross the border.
Yes,
and
it is.
Whether that's because I know some people in the U.S. just don't have a passport because they haven't had a reason to the U.S. So that's one problem. One of the pluses for Toronto, a tournament in Toronto, would be that we have gigantic, bring people in. Very easy to get to.
I can tell you if there's a team. Oh, sorry, I didn't know.
It'd be funny though if you guys sequestered a bunch of Texans at the border and just held them there and let them through.
Well, that would absolutely happen with a certain segment, because what most people I don't think realize is that Canada does not let what's the proper word?
Texans?
Felons.
Oh,
No,
felons.
for people who've been in trouble legally aren't allowed into Canada.
Really?
Like they just, yeah, of course. And so there's a certain population of the foosball world
was
who's
like,
just not
yeah.
they're just not
Yeah,
allowed
that's
there
a
because
good-
they have a criminal record. So
Unlike New York, where they're welcomed home, they're like, come back home. to New
yeah,
York.
no, I actually had a parade thrown for me one time when I went and played at a tournament just outside of New York. Yeah,
Cool.
that's a true story. That's not a fake
Wow.
stat at all.
Wow.
Yeah, I could go to Germany. I could go to all the Finland. I can go to most of Scandinavia, not a problem. But Canada doesn't let me come there. So there you go.
It's hilarious.
So that's my excuse. I don't know about everybody else, but
Well, things have changed a bit. I mean, there was a time crossing over the border into Canada. We're only 4 hours from the border here, and it was just like taking an afternoon trip. It was easy enough to cross over and do some sightseeing, shopping, this kind of thing. But now, if you don't have a passport,
forget about it.
And the other thing is, if they don't like the idea of you coming to the country for something specific, like my boss, who's also a teacher of voice acting, went there to hold a class at one time. This is a few years ago, but the border guard said, "Yeah, we can teach our own classes. Thank you very much. Not letting you in." So, but
that's not very Canadian at all.
Well, it was just one of those things. But no, I think that there's justification for this. But it is a thing. So Mario, when it comes to Toronto, that'd be a wonderful place to have a tournament because of the city itself. It's a gorgeous place.
It is. There's a ton of entertainment, culture, and nightlife, especially to downtown Toronto.
Right.
Of course, the problem that, much like many other tournaments, if we were to have a big tournament, we need a big space, and trying to find a big space down
it's tough,
expensive. If nothing.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. Exactly. No, I know that the chatter has been going on for quite some time. We've been making efforts to revive the New York State Championships. In fact, we were on the edge of it just this last year before COVID hit, and then it kind of all went down the drain because they were going to have one in Niagara Falls with Matt McCrory and that crew there. And it was going to be a pretty good affair. I guess that he had signed up Mary Moore to help out. And it was going to be a big event, but then of course COVID came along and put an end to that. But
yeah, we were excited because that was a chance for our players that don't have the money necessarily to fly to tournaments. It really gave them a drive a couple of hours to a bigger tournament.
Yep.
So hopefully that comes back.
Well, fingers crossed. We're working on it. Let's put it that way. It may happen soon. Just as long as we can all kind of be safe. So Mario, the other thing that I wanted to ask you about, when it comes to this idea of playing foosball for you, if you could, shall we say, earn a living playing foosball, would you do it more often?
I had a weird feeling that this question was going to come up. Like I thought of it today for no apparent reason.
Okay.
I really enjoy it. My worry is that it'd be one of those things where don't take what you love and make it your job because you might stop loving it. Sort of.
Oh, right.
That's my concern. But would I be willing to try it? Absolutely. Like I would love that sort of reason to practice more.
Yes.
Because as it stands, you get to a certain level and you lose the drive a little bit to keep improving because you're going to have to put in a massive chunk of time to beat those very tall guys.
Now, do you believe there's a magic window for someone like yourself to actually be that competitive, especially on a world scale? An age group, let's say, that would have hope of becoming, let's say, a Tony Spredeman?
Interesting question. One thing I will say that I've thought about in regards to this is that the guys at the very top, for the most part, in the U.S. circuit, generally players that have been playing since the 70s and have played through or have made a comeback,
right? Or
they are second-generation players. Like you look at the younger top players, Tommy York, you look at Tony's on the younger side, Brandon's on the younger side.
Yes.
They're all these second-generation players. So if you get that start really early on, you definitely get a massive jump, right?
Yeah. Right.
So
sorry, I feel like I lost track of the question.
No. I mean, you're in your 30s, correct?
That's right.
So let's say, like most professional baseball players can maybe last until they're 35, maybe, 40 at the outset at the most. So is there an age limit, do you think, when it comes to your status currently? Could you become a Tony Spredeman if it's something that you could do? I mean, as far as the time and the money and the effort, was that something that would be possible physically?
Physically, let me start off by saying, thank God I'm a snake shooter, because my arm could carry a pole through the years. Wish we all had the genetics like Tog to do that, but yeah, the time is the biggest factor, right? Because there's just so much that one has to do in life, and especially if you're starting a family or trying to launch a career, which is unfortunately for most people not going to be foosball related.
Right.
I definitely think, going back to your original question, like unless you can beat these guys by the time you're in your sort of, and I'm gonna pick this number in favor to myself here, by the time you're in your late 30s,
right?
I don't think it's gonna happen.
Because of
I think you got to qualify.
Curious.
Go ahead,
Mark.
Go ahead. No, you Clay. Go.
Rock, paper, scissors for it.
All right, go.
1, 2, 3. Rock.
Paper. All right, cool. That's me.
All right.
Cool. So, listen, I think you need to qualify the question. Like, no one's going to be Tony. Like, no one's going to be Tony. If you mean develop a system of attack and defense, and one of the painful things about foosball that simultaneously supports the current competitive effort is that foosball was traumatized by ending abruptly in the 70s, and then like having all kinds of like schizophrenia with growth, and then like delayed growth, and then people falling out, and then people quit playing, and the players that were still pretty darn good or great are now they're like unbeatable because there's people that there's no one to challenge them.
Right.
That's an unfortunate, and not to take anything away from guys that increased their skill or maintained a certain skill set while other people dropped off. But so what I'm talking about is qualifying the question. Be like Tony. I think there is time, and because you have a handful. Maybe that's being too generous. Or not generous enough. There seems to be 5, 6, 7, 8 people that are second generation foosers that are dominant. They started at an early age. That's true. But I think that because it's also been so weird, you can be if you have a good baseline skill level and you're to focus your game, you're not going to beat Tony every time. But you could pull some wins off Tony. You could pull some wins off these guys. You're not going to dominate the tour, but you can win some. You could win some events. It's just those guys are the only people working that hard. No one's. It's just, I mean, I guess Midori might be laughing at me. I don't know how hard Tony works anymore, but no one worked that hard to get to this point as Ryan and Tony and Billy. Those guys. No one's working that hard. You can be like, I think you could be in your late 30s, early 40s, work hard, practice, focus, and get some wins. You won't dominate like these guys, but you could beat them. You can make it difficult for them to win. That's my answer to that. Go ahead, Clay.
Well, I think that the thing is, physically, I think the answer is easy. I think physically, yes. I think mentally is the issue. And when you're like Jim always talks about, you have to start young and able to be one of the, in order to be one of those players that just reaches the top, you have to start as a kid. And I never really like agree, because I just think it's possible to be an adult to pick up the game. But the difference is, dude, kids care about things differently than adults do. So like right now, it's easy to get obsessed as a child with something new and just go like all this time at home in the last year or so, and you get so focused on something because it's all you care about. You don't live in the same world that an adult does mentally, and so you can focus on something in a way that's different than like for an adult, like somebody like me. I was in my 30s when I first started playing. I didn't go to a tournament till I was 35 years old.
Wow.
And I picked it up fairly quickly, and I think I started competing, in a short enough amount of time that I was happy with it. But even at that point, I didn't have the same childlike obsession with learning this new thing, because I was in my mid 30s, dude. I had kids, I had a job, I had bills,
You got a life.
I had life. I had a life to worry about in a different way than if I were a kid. So, I didn't have any friends, up and down the street to play with or whatever. So there's different factors that come into play with that whole conversation. So I don't know. I actually don't remember the original question or where I'm going with the answer. But I think that ultimately, I think you can dominate. I think it is possible to dominate as somebody who's like reaching that point later in life. It's just a matter of desire. So it's not a matter of capability as much as it is a matter of desire. And maybe one might argue, well, that's part of the capability, is that you don't have the gas factor that you would if you were a kid. And to that, I would just say, whatever.
So it comes down to stamina and distractions.
It's not even stamina, because when I bought a table, there was a 6-month period that I had a table here at my house, and I practiced from the time I woke up to the time I went to sleep. For literally that summer, I woke up, my kids played out in the garage, basketball, backyard, doing whatever, and I just practiced on my table from the time I woke up to the time I went to sleep for a while, for a couple months, and I advanced in the same amount of proportionally to if I were a kid doing the same thing. Like, I don't think that I was held back by being a grown adult. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But there was a point where the tournament that I was preparing for, that I wanted to go win a table, like I was preparing for one event and I wanted to really go win that table. And then it was all said and done. I got second place, didn't win the table. And I was like devastated and all that stuff. But then I also had this very, dare I say, mature response where I was like, dude, I just soaked all this time and invested all this time into something that A, didn't happen, didn't come to fruition, but also B, didn't really matter. Like, it didn't matter to me at 30, late 30s, the way it would have in my late teens. If I would have experienced that, and by the way, I did experience that when I was a teenager. I bowled competitively. In the first tournament I went to, I didn't perform how well I thought I would have, and so that made me go, you know what, screw this. That's never happening again. I'm going to double my time down at the bowling alley. I'm going to, watch more, ESPN. I'm going to all this stuff. I reacted differently as a teenager because I just cared about things differently. So it wasn't that I was more capable as a teenager. It was just I cared differently. So I think the answer is absolutely yes.
It can happen.
Someone in their 30s, there could be someone right now.
What about if we think that Dustin Gatliff wouldn't have stopped playing foosball? Where do you think he would be?
Yeah.
So Dustin is my friend, and I try to have this conversation because it's like a popular one. And by the way, hello Dustin, because you'll hear this now. But I think of it in a different in a
that's
different
kind
light.
of the situation that we're
discussing. He did. And for those who don't know, Dustin was kind of like famous for practicing daily for, X amount of thousands of days in a row. And Jim talked about it a lot. And Jim could probably tell you the exact number, but it was several years of literally every single day he did something to work on his game. And then one night was just like, hey, I'm done. I'm not playing anymore.
And he got
that
to
was
pro
it.
really quick. Yeah. And
Got the pro really quick. Yeah.
He got to pro really quick, and he was a really solid, high level pro. And then
so good. Yeah. And then he hit a point to where the growth, and this is me speaking, I'm not speaking for him, and he may disagree with this, but my assessment of the situation was he went from 0 to 100 like overnight. And the goal was to go to 0 to 110. And so 0 to 100 was easy. Not easy because he put in a lot of work. And when he moved to Dallas, I was there working with him. So I had firsthand experience of what he was doing. So it was 0 to 100 overnight, basically. And then that last 10 miles an hour or whatever was just like a different animal. And he was in the conversation with the top players. Like he was good enough that they had to really try. And then by the way, he beat the top players. He had matches where he knocked off, the top players. I don't think he ever beat Tony. I'm comfortable saying he never beat Tony.
I mean, I didn't really know him, but I had heard that was like part of his decision to stop playing was the overcoming Tony aspect.
Well, I think it was in his words. I don't think it was specifically Tony. I think it was just the sport in general and how it was the way that it's ran here in the States is just wrong. I'm okay saying that, and if anybody disagrees with that, I'm okay telling you that you're wrong. But it's the way that we've run it here in the States is just not right. And he saw that it was like not going to get better. And for that reason is why he was like, dude, I'm investing all this time. It was similar to what I experienced, but to a much greater
you know
degree.
what, though, you guys, this story is not that. I mean, it's really unoriginal.
Yeah.
Let me tell you why.
Time.
Yeah. So, you got this story is like, okay, so I'm in high school, get a foosball table, practice every single day. Me, Fernando, Serge, Jay, Ken Lowe, rest in peace. We're in my garage. We're practicing every single day. I don't win anything. Not a draw your partner. I took second in a 2200 limited, and I don't win anything. And I see these kids, whatever. I want to win worlds. I practice every single day. I win amateur doubles at the worlds. I graduate from high school and done. Sell my foosball table. Foosball's dead to me. And like, and then so I'm like, I'm still like, a foosball's dead to me. I'm not practicing. Fernando and I are still playing for 9th and 93 Open Doubles Worlds, upset the number 2 seed, beating Masters and singles, winning, but I can't get over the hump anymore. And sadly, I think the things I'm not ashamed about is my friends got really, really good, probably Hall of Fame, but they didn't get over the hump either. They didn't win anything. They kept practicing. Sure. I think the relevancy here is that for one reason or another, there have been an unknown number of people that could have done more in the game, but the game didn't pay enough, or the game wasn't structured appropriately, or there's too much there's cost prohibitive to play. So there's a million, there's an unknown number of people, super talents.
So Mario,
in every single region.
So Mario, have you found yourself in that position? Have you ever, found yourself saying, you know what, the hell with this?
No, not yet.
Good.
But much like Mark was just, you're gonna hit a foosball goal.
Mario, you're going in and out, dude. Your audio's going in and out. I'm not sure why. It's
short sidebar, real quick. Are you on speakerphone, Mario?
No, I'm on my headphones.
Okay,
gotcha.
Then I'll step away.
I think it might have just.
Yeah, it just
sounds like it's quiet. It actually sounds like Discord is the noise suppression is stepping in because it's just quiet. So if you just speak louder, I don't think it'll be a problem.
Let me try switching rooms real.
Okay. I can whistle a mean Jeopardy thing, right? Like I'm prepared at any point.
So, like as Mark was just saying, I think to reach this point in your foosball course, the goal is to beat everybody consistently. Like be able to do that. You know, like if I go toe to toe with Tony, I want to know there's a 50% chance that I'm going to win or bet. Right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To be able to do that, like the amount of time it would take, like the way I think of it myself, right? 3 to 4 hours per day of mechanical practice, of watching videos, of watching Tony's game as an example. Taking note of the way each of these top players plays and like getting a book set up for them, understanding and reacting to those things. It's just so hard to do if foosball is not sustaining your life, right? Like if you're not getting your income from foosball, I cannot justify spending 6 hours a day on it, and I also have all of my. That's where the problem is for me personally.
Now, how do you feel about the way things are run? Now, Clay and Mark both mentioned that things could be different, maybe more appealing to a player like yourself, especially in the States. What do you think about that?
I'm kind of curious, Clay. What's your number one foosball mistake? I guess what's the big reason that you're saying it's wrong or wrong?
What you mean as far as how we do it wrong and how the tournament? I think that there's I love this question, by the way. Thank you for asking it. And I love this conversation. I think the focus is on the wrong thing. And this goes back, I was thinking this earlier when you were talking about the World Cup and stuff. The focus is on money here. Can I afford the tournament? Will I win enough to get to pay for my meals for the weekend? How much money is the promoter making? Which is none of our business. And I'm going to just say that. Nope, it shouldn't be my business how much money the promoter makes, but it is my business how much I spend, what my ROI might be, stuff like that. And it's to me, it goes against the competitive spirit when something like money comes into play. When you look at the World Cup and the ITS, all the stuff like that, the events where people go, man, the atmosphere is just different. Ask them how much they win. Ask them what the prize pool is. People will tell you. Hell if I know. It might be zero. I don't know. I get to play. I get to play with my country. I get to play against other countries. Like we're there to win. And you might lose a couple $1,000s just in airfare, but who cares? It's because the focus, when you go over there, the focus is not about money. You're not worried about your ROI. You're not worried about things that aren't any of your business, such as what is the promoter making. You're not worried about any of that stuff. You just want to win. It means something to win. And here, in the States, people at the lower ranks, I think people have the right spirit. I want to win a jacket. I want to go and compete and do my best. But when you get to a point to where the jacket doesn't matter anymore, then it becomes about money. And I think that whether it's our fault as a player base, or whether it's the promoter's fault for creating that environment, I have opinions, but they're just opinions. But ultimately, I think that our focus is on the wrong thing. We shouldn't worry about money. Who cares?
Right.
And some people have to, and that's just reality. But the bottom line is people need to worry about the right things in order for something to flourish. And in the States, we just don't. We don't worry about the right things. We worry about, how much money am I making? How much money am I losing? How much does it cost? Can I afford it? And if you go to a tournament and you come home with a couple $100 and no jackets, it's like, hey man, at least I made my money back. What a loser mentality for that to be your mentality. If you come home thinking that at least I won my money back, even though I didn't win any events, like that's a loser mentality, which is fine. You can be a loser and I don't judge you for it, but that's like, you're not worried about winning. You're worried about making money back, which is it's just lame. So that goes against the competitive spirit. So that's my soapbox moment on that. I don't know. Did I leave anything uncovered there or whatever?
No, it's a great point.
Yeah.
The Flyers end up being very it's funny how the mentality of tournaments gets geared around that psyche, where it's like you look at a tournament flyer and it's like it says $30,000, then you realize it's split up between 500 events, and then people are circling where they think they're going to place. It's a funny little exercise, people trying to figure out how they're going to make their money back. I could see how it'd be unique removing that from the equation.
So Midori, you're in that position, you're in that stage of life, or relatively early on, becoming a pro. How about you? I mean, do you want to make money at this? You want to would it be more important if you could make a living at this?
I don't think it's ever crossed my mind of it being like a possibility to make a living from it. I mean, obviously we talk about it and fantasize it would be cool.
Sure.
But I've never thought of that as like an actual possibility. So at this point, I mean, I can't say I'm not guilty of, like what are the payouts of this tournament versus this tournament to maybe make it, if I have to decide, what am I making that decision based off of? And that's definitely like a factor that I do look at. If I'm like deciding on a tournament to go to, but it's pretty much out of my realm of possibility, I think, for making a living the way things are right now. So it's like, I do just want to go and win titles. But then if I have to choose between tournaments, I guess what my overall experience of different tournaments is like, as far as the competition, because it's like, this Worlds might be a bigger payout than Vegas, but if I had to choose between Worlds and Vegas, it's like I'd probably rather go to Vegas because there's more competition. It's a better overall tournament. Yeah,
so more prestige as well, for sure.
Right.
Yeah. No, it's funny. We're Americans. We're riding this weird line. Do Canadians have the same issue, Mario? Or are they thinking about money?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it's just generally expensive to fly. And I'll pick Toronto.
Sure.
To fly out of Toronto to anywhere in the States, like I think I've always wanted to go to Colorado State because I've heard it's fantastic, and I would love to visit Colorado. But it's also an $800 round trip ticket.
Whoa.
And it adds up. And for something that Clay, I agree that there's a lot of focus on the money in America, but it's also one of those things where I guess if people approached it more as a hobby, like if I'm going to go, I don't golf, but let's say they're going to go in a golf tournament for I don't expect to win that money back. It's a trip.
Right. Yeah. Vacation.
For me, I guess exactly. For me, I guess it would be a ski trip would be the right example. 4 days, go ski, spend several $100 or a couple $1,000.
Right.
But it's a hobby.
You're not a pro skier.
Yeah, surprise. No, it's money is definitely a factor for everybody that chooses to go to a U.S.
Well, what if let me just throw this big what if out there, and I'll throw this out to everybody. What if there was this quote unquote quasi Olympic style performance in foosball, wherein you get selected for a team, and the organization, the quote unquote Olympics behind foosball, pays for your fees. What then, and how would that change things for you?
Maybe we could call it the ITSF.
Well, they don't tend to sponsor or back the players, do they? They don't provide you with airfare and hotel accommodations.
Well, for something like World Cup, you know, there's not a payout. You know, you're going there. You're probably going to make a vacation out of it, but it's something that you're only going to do, you know, every other
2
year.
years, right?
So it's like I'm willing to spend the money to go have the experience to, you know, play for your country, you know, but that's not something I could do 4 or 5 times a year, which is how many tournaments I would normally go to. It's like, so for something like that, like, yeah, I'm totally willing to do that, to not for money to not be a factor at all in just me wanting to have that experience.
And it's funny because you go into it with that mentality, right?
Right. But I can't do that 5 times a year.
No, it comes down to, I think now we're splitting hairs sometimes, because we're like, well, I want to do it for the glory. I want to be there to stand up for my team. Yes, that's great motivation. But it would be kind of nice if you know, I could get a little compensation. That would be cool. That would sort of help juice it up a bit. Although would that affect your total commitment to winning for your country or whatever team you're playing for?
I think it's okay to have like secondary goals or like hopes or whatever. So if you have like money in your head somewhere, or that's okay. But like your primary driving force has to be in the right place for it to be
right,
for it to be any good. So if you can say, I just want to go be the best play. You can say this about Olympians. I just want to go over there and win. I just want to be the best. And you know what? Guess what? If that happens, sure, I'll get rich. I'll be on a Wheaties box. I'll get whatever endorsements and all that stuff. But that's not what I care about. And I guarantee you, go find an Olympian who got silver in the event that they were supposed to win, and ask them how much money they made and if they would trade that all for the gold. I bet money that all of them would say, hell yeah, I'd trade for the gold. Like the gold is what you go for. You don't go for silver.
Right.
And even though silver is like an, you know, admirable accomplishment to us normies, you know, out here. The idea is to win. We don't go to get second place. We go to win. So, you know, money is fine, and it's not bad to want money. I don't mean to make it sound like money's a bad thing. I think it's awesome if you can win money.
Yeah.
But this can't be your driving force if you want a proper competitive environment.
So now we have to think about on a scale of the globe when it comes to foosball in general, because like we were talking about before, there's this ebb and flow of interest and number of players that are involved, you know, seriously in the sport, and then they disappear and then they come back again and disappear. And how do we maintain that? You know, is it the money, or is it a combination of the money and playing for your team, or is it something we don't even know about yet? What is it that's going to take this to a level where we can say, wow, this is a truly cool sport that everybody wants to watch, everybody wants to be a part of?
I think you got to get it embedded in the fabric of the culture. Like, some of the things we're doing, like Maxime Blin in France will tell you 400. Now, this number's a fake stat or a real stat. It's not my stat. He'll tell you 400,000 people are playing foosball in France.
What?
400,000 people.
Get out of here.
Maxime Blin. So he says. Now, there's 63 million people. I was looking at the math and trying to figure it out if it's a fake stat. It ends up being like half of 1%.
Still,
it's believable.
We got to qualify. what does it mean playing? They know how to use a rod without spinning it. These people that play draw your partners, I don't know. But there's a massive number of people. Germany is another ridiculous country for foosball. Of course, soccer is a big sport out there, and so baby foot makes sense that it's going to grow. But I guess you got to, like, for the United States specifically, I think you hear Mario talking about 150, 200 players underneath
in Quebec,
between 40 and lower. Yeah, it's happening slowly over time, and we just need to continue to make sure people need to have a fun experience. They got to identify with a spectacle, having fun. You've heard me talk about this. I don't want to get into it again. People need to have a good time playing foosball, and that's not some stupid, quiet little church game. They need to be able to, like, drop their beer on the table and then drink it off the table.
They need to be able to. We've got Canada in the house. Why not just take it to hockey and say we need foosball? We need people to be able to slam on the glass.
Right.
Just, you know what I mean? Like, that's what's so hilarious about hearing someone from Canada talk about, I came in right in the middle of all the, like, tennis and golf and all the other different, comparisons or whatever. And I'm in the back of my head, I'm thinking, dude, hockey. Hello. It's the most exciting sport to experience live.
True that.
As far as the sports that I've personally been to, which is all the 4 majors in the States plus some other stuff, nothing even comes close to hockey. It's the best, period.
Okay.
No matter where you are in the building, it's the best.
Mario, are you a hockey fan?
Not a huge one, sad to say.
Getting my old man in this conversation is over.
Okay.
I know.
I love it.
I've only got the politeness, not the hockey fandom. I missed
Gotcha.
But you still see what I'm saying, though. Like, it's hockey is people are rabid about that, and when they experience the event in person.
No, in upstate New York,
fun.
the phrase is "me like hockey." Yeah.
Well, let's check this out. I took my 4th or 5th date. I took my wife to see Brock Lesnar fighting at cage fight, UFC, whatever. We're in Vegas, and she'd never been to a cage fight before. And we're like 5th row, and I can't even remember who the damn rapper was. I don't know these people, like superstars, and there's blood spatter like 3 feet in front of us, and she loved it. She's like, "This is crazy. This is amazing." Like, people like bleeding all over the place. I had to mop blood off the thing, and I was worried about her. Yeah, I've been between hockey and MMA. That's some exciting stuff.
Yeah. Wow.
and just curious, because I've never been to a UFC fight. Were you allowed to talk?
Yeah, we could talk. It's hilarious.
Were you allowed to? Oh, I don't know. Cheer when something went your way.
You could scream at the fighter. The fighter could hear you, and people were screaming like the most outrageous things at the fighters. Like, the wives are screaming at the fighters. Like, "Get off the ground, you loser! I need you to bring home bring home a paycheck."
You probably can't even repeat here some of the things that were said there, I'm guessing.
For sure.
More than likely.
Yeah.
More than likely.
So we need to be able to cuss out Todd if that's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Especially for wearing those checkerboard pants, checkerboard shorts of the 2019 Hall of Fame Classic. I mean, man, what is that all about? Midori, did you give him a hard time for wearing those shorts? No.
I'm sure somebody did.
Midori is a closet Canadian.
Oh,
let's just go ahead. This is the same. She couldn't even come up with a fake imaginary mean bad guy. There. So you think she's gonna tell the greatest player in foosball to, "Hey, dude, what's up with your clothes there?"
He was also wearing a sport coat that weekend that I think people were giving him a hard time about. It was
Sweet.
Love it.
Yeah,
I love it.
Did he have a mullet by chance? Was this mullet Todd?
This was Tony.
Tony.
Oh, Tony. I heard
Yeah.
Todd. Oh,
No.
Lord.
Tony Spredeman wearing checkerboard shorts. So yeah, it's great. So Mario, first of all, this is fantastic. You took the time out to join us, and thank you for tolerating Mark all night. But it is something that
next therapy session is on us.
But
next IPA is on you, right?
Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. But no, we want to extend an invitation to come back and do this again sometime very soon. Especially when things start to heat up with competition once again. Once COVID is no longer an issue, a fact of any kind, we'd love to see, of course, in upstate New York and anywhere else in the lower provinces to Canada. But thank you so much for being with us.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on here. A lot of great discussion. Like, I want to keep talking about some of these points around
Yes.
money and cheering specifically.
So you're in luck. We keep talking after the show, by the way. So don't leave when
Right.
you mute up.
There is an after party, by the way. So yeah,
He didn't really mean it. He didn't really mean it. He's just being Canadian. He's like, get me the hell out of here. I want to go to bed.
That's actually.
Let me in the VIP section. Come on.
Yeah, right.
He's going to go to the restroom and then disappear out the window.
So, first of all, guys, any parting shots? Mark, parting shot?
I thought I hated Canada till tonight. Oh. I really do. I am fond of Canada, and I want to hang out in Toronto and party with you, Mario. So get ready to come to Toronto. As soon as the border opens, go hang out. You're invited too, Clay and Tom.
No, I'm not. We discussed this.
That's right. No, you're not invited. Dude, get in there with the disguise and a fake passport. Let's see how far they get you.
Yeah, that's
Midori. Your turn. You got a parting shot.
I can't do any shots. I had 2 sips of an IPA.
We won't get into that. Okay, I'll take that as a no. Clay.
I just wanted to. I don't know. I feel like I missed half the show because I missed half the show, but just wanted to remind everybody that I'm great and that I'm awesome and that you're glad I'm here.
Mario,
nothing's changed.
It's if you'll come back, we'll have you back. But we really appreciate you being with us tonight, Mario Iannuzzi. Did I get that right?
Perfect. Wonderful. I'm glad we practiced.
Cool. Yeah. Mario Iannuzzi on FoosTalk Live. Thank you so much for being with us. And thank you for listening into the show tonight. We'll be back again for another edition of FoosTalk Live next Sunday, perhaps with the wandering Jim Stevens. You just never know. But thanks for listening to FoosTalk Live. FoosTalk Live is a product of FoosBall Radio and Inside Foos TV. All rights reserved. Our sincere thanks to 518 Prince, Foosball Clubs USA, Foosballers the Movie, and the United States Table Soccer Organization. Join us next Sunday for another episode of FoosTalk Live. In the meantime,
we'll see you foozin'.